The Great Galactic Council Hall was larger than any city on Earth. Thousands of seats filled the enormous circular chamber. Representatives from hundreds of alien civilizations sat quietly, their strange forms glowing under the soft blue lights of the chamber. Some were tall and thin like living trees, others were small creatures with bright eyes, and some looked like massive armored insects. Today's meeting was supposed to be simple. Just another discussion about new civilizations joining the galaxy. But one name on the agenda had caused unexpected attention. Humanity. A holographic image of Earth floated in the center of the council chamber. The small blue planet slowly rotated as information scrolled beside it. A young council member from the powerful Dravian Empire stood up and laughed softly. "Is this a joke?" he said. "This species only reached space a short time ago. Their technology is primitive compared to ours." Several other delegates nodded. Murmurs of agreement spread across the chamber. "They still fight wars among themselves," another representative said. "They are emotional, unstable, and divided." Some delegates even looked bored. To them, humanity seemed like just another young species trying to survive in a dangerous universe. But across the chamber, a group of ancient beings remained silent. They were known simply as the Elders. The Elders were one of the oldest civilizations in the galaxy. Their species had existed for millions of years, and their wisdom was respected across the stars. When they spoke, the entire council usually listened. Slowly, one of the Elders rose from his seat. His tall silver body shimmered softly in the light. His voice was calm, deep, and ancient. "Before you judge this species," he said, "you should understand what they truly are." The chamber grew quiet. Even the Dravian delegate crossed his arms and listened. The elder waved his hand, and new images appeared around the holographic Earth. Scenes from human history filled the air. World wars. Cities destroyed. Massive disasters. Explosions. Battles. And yet, after every disaster, humanity rebuilt. They survived thousands of years of conflict, the elder continued. They fought wars that nearly destroyed their planet, and they still continued forward. More images appeared. Humans exploring space. Building ships. Creating powerful technology. Colonizing nearby worlds. They evolved on a death world, the elder said. A planet filled with natural disasters, deadly diseases, violent weather, and dangerous predators. Some council members shifted uncomfortably. Death worlds were rare in the galaxy. Very few species could survive on such planets. Most civilizations develop in safe environments, the elder continued. But humans did not. The Dravian delegate spoke again. Even if that is true, they are still a young species. They pose no threat to the galaxy. The elder slowly turned his head toward him. "You misunderstand," he replied calmly. The chamber became silent again. "They are peaceful, for now." A few quiet laughs echoed from the upper seats. "Humans argue among themselves constantly," another delegate said. "Their planet is divided by nations and politics." "That is exactly why you should be careful," the elder answered. He waved his hand again. New images appeared. Human soldiers. Advanced warships hidden in orbital shipyards. Massive underground bunkers. Secret weapons being tested in deep space. The council murmured loudly now. "These records show only a small part of their military capability," the elder said. The Dravian delegate frowned. "So they have weapons. Every species has weapons." The elder's glowing eyes narrowed slightly. "Yes," he said slowly. "But humanity has something far more dangerous." The council waited. Adaptation. The elder looked across the massive chamber. When humans face a threat, they change. They learn. They grow stronger faster than any species we have ever studied. Some delegates now looked uneasy. The elder continued. They turn fear into strength. They turn loss into motivation. And when their survival is threatened, they become something very dangerous. The Dravian delegate rolled his eyes. You speak as if they are unstoppable warriors. The elder remained calm. No. He paused. They are something far worse. The chamber went silent. They are patient. Several council members looked confused. The elder turned toward the holographic earth once more. Humans prefer peace, he said. They build. They explore. They cooperate. Then his voice became slightly colder. But if someone forces them into a war for survival. He looked back at the council. They do not stop. For a few seconds, the chamber remained completely silent. Then someone laughed. Soon others joined. Within moments the entire council chamber filled with quiet amusement. The Dravian delegate shook his head. You worry too much, elder, he said. This species is insignificant. Many delegates agreed. The discussion quickly moved on to other topics. The warning was ignored. But far away from the council chamber, deep in a dark region of space, a massive alien fleet was already preparing for war. Their target was simple. Earth. And the elders, watching the galaxy's arrogance unfold, already knew the truth. The galaxy had just made a very dangerous mistake. Far from the bright halls of the Galactic Council, the Dravian Empire had already made its decision. The Council's warning meant nothing to them. In their eyes, Earth was simply a small, young world filled with weak creatures who had only recently learned how to travel through space. To the Dravian commanders, the invasion would be easy. Their fleet moved silently through deep space. Hundreds of massive warships traveled together in perfect formation. Each ship was larger than most human cities, covered with heavy armor and powerful weapons. The Dravians had conquered dozens of star systems before. To them, another planet was just another prize. When their fleet finally reached the outer edge of the solar system, the commanders looked at the human defenses and laughed. Only a few patrol ships. Some satellites. Nothing impressive. This will be over quickly, the Dravian Supreme Commander said with confidence. The fleet moved closer to Earth. Soon the blue planet appeared on their screens, glowing beautifully in the darkness of space. White clouds moved slowly across its surface. Oceans reflected the light of the sun. The Dravian commander opened a communication channel. A signal was sent toward Earth. Minutes later, human leaders appeared on the screen. Representatives from different nations sat together in a command center deep underground. The Dravian commander spoke clearly. People of Earth, he said. Your world now belongs to the Dravian Empire. Surrender your planet peacefully, and your species may continue to live under our rule. The human leaders remained quiet for a moment. Then one of them spoke. No. The answer was calm and simple. The Dravian commander smiled slightly. You do not understand the situation, he replied. Our fleet can destroy your planet within minutes. The human leader leaned forward. Then you should do it, he said. The transmission ended. For a moment, the alien bridge was silent. Then the commander laughed. Foolish creatures, he said. He raised his hand. Begin the invasion. The Dravian fleet moved forward. Massive weapon systems powered up across their ships. Bright energy cannons glowed as they prepared to fire. But before the first shot could be fired, something strange happened. Human satellites across the solar system suddenly activated. Thousands of them. Hidden systems woke up at the same time. Unknown signals spread through space. Deep beneath Earth's surface, enormous military bunkers powered on. Secret defense networks that had never been revealed to the public came online. Across the planet, human warships began leaving their docks. The Dravian fleet noticed something strange. New contacts began appearing on their sensors. At first, the commanders thought the readings were errors. But the numbers kept growing. More ships. More signals. More weapon systems. Hidden human fleets began emerging from places the Dravians had not even scanned. From behind the moon. From deep asteroid bases. From stations hidden within Saturn's rings. Hundreds of human warships suddenly surrounded the invading fleet. The Dravian commander frowned. "This is unexpected," he said quietly. Human ships were smaller than Dravian warships, but they moved much faster. Their engines burned with bright blue light as they rushed into battle positions. Human voices filled the communication channels. "Unknown fleet, you are entering restricted space. You are ordered to leave immediately." The Dravian commander smiled again. "Destroy them," he ordered. The first battle of the war began. Energy beams lit up the darkness of space. Explosions flashed across the battlefield as ships fired their weapons. At first, the Dravians expected an easy victory. But something went wrong. Human ships moved in unpredictable ways. They attacked in small groups, striking quickly before disappearing again into the battlefield. Dravian ships began taking damage. Then one of their cruisers exploded. Another ship lost its engines. Then a third ship was destroyed. The Dravian commander stared at the battle reports in disbelief. "How is this possible?" he demanded. Human ships were fighting with incredible coordination. Every movement seemed planned perfectly. And the most disturbing part was still coming. One of the Dravian intelligence officers intercepted a human military signal. He replayed it on the bridge. A calm human voice spoke through the speakers. "Phase 1 complete. Enemy fleet confirmed. Release secondary defense forces." The Dravian commander frowned. "Secondary forces?" At that moment, their sensors exploded with new signals. Hundreds more human ships suddenly appeared. Even larger ones. Heavily armed. Powerful. The Dravian commander felt something he had never felt before. Uncertainty. For the first time, he realized something terrible. Earth had not been unprepared. Earth had been waiting. And the war had only just begun. The battle above Earth grew more intense with every passing minute. Bright flashes of energy lit up the darkness of space as Dravian warships fired their massive cannons. Explosions echoed across the battlefield while damaged ships drifted through the void. At first, the Dravian commanders believed they still had the advantage. Their ships were larger and heavily armored. Their empire had conquered many worlds before. But the humans were not fighting the way the Dravians expected. Human ships moved quickly and unpredictably. They never stayed in one place for long. Small groups of human fighters would attack suddenly, strike a Dravian ship's weak point, and then disappear before the enemy could respond. To the Dravians, the battle felt chaotic. But to the human commanders, everything was carefully planned. Deep inside Earth's Global Defense Command Center, human officers watched the battle unfold across massive holographic screens. Admiral Carter stood calmly with his arms behind his back. "Enemy fleet status?" he asked. A young officer quickly answered. "They have already lost 9 cruisers and 2 carriers, sir." The admiral nodded slightly. "Good. Maintain formation." Back in space, the Dravian fleet continued to push forward. Their larger ships fired powerful beams that destroyed several human fighters. Debris scattered across the battlefield. But every time a human ship was destroyed, 2 more appeared. The Dravian commander watched the reports with growing frustration. "How many ships does Earth have?" he demanded. The intelligence officer looked nervous. "Unknown, Commander. New ships keep appearing from hidden locations." The commander slammed his fist onto the console. "Impossible. Our scans showed only a small defense fleet." At that moment, another Dravian ship exploded on the tactical display. Human destroyers had surrounded it from 3 sides, striking its engines before finishing it with concentrated fire. The Dravian commander's expression slowly changed. This was no longer a simple invasion. This was becoming a real war. Then something even more disturbing happened. The Dravian fleet intercepted another human transmission. This time the message was not encrypted. It was clear and calm. Defense Phase 2 beginning. The Dravian commander frowned. Phase 2, he repeated. The officer monitoring sensors suddenly froze. Commander, new objects detected. How many? The officer stared at the screen in disbelief. Hundreds. Suddenly, massive shapes began emerging from deep space around the solar system. Hidden shipyards that had been disguised as mining stations opened their armored doors. Giant warships slowly moved out into the sunlight. These ships were far larger than the earlier human vessels. Their hulls were thick with armor. Long rows of heavy weapons covered their surfaces. Their engines burned with powerful blue energy. The Dravian bridge went silent. One officer whispered quietly. "Those are battleships." Another officer corrected him. "No." He zoomed in on one of the ships. "Those are dreadnoughts." The human dreadnought fleet moved slowly toward the battlefield. Even the Dravian warships, which were already enormous, suddenly seemed small compared to these massive human vessels. The Dravian commander felt his confidence begin to crack. How did they hide ships of this size, he demanded. No one had an answer. The human dreadnoughts joined the battle. Their weapons powered up. Then they fired. The result was devastating. One massive beam of energy sliced straight through a Dravian cruiser, tearing the ship apart in seconds. Another dreadnought launched a volley of missiles that destroyed 3 enemy ships at once. The balance of the battle suddenly changed. Dravian ships began retreating. For the first time since the invasion began, the Dravian commander felt fear. "These humans," he whispered. "They were never weak." Back on Earth, Admiral Carter watched the battle calmly. One of the officers looked at him. "Sir, enemy fleet morale appears to be collapsing." The admiral nodded. "Of course it is." He looked up at the holographic battlefield. They thought they were invading a young civilization. He paused for a moment. "But humanity learned war long before we reached the stars." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, news of the battle was already spreading. Long-range sensors from other civilizations had detected the massive conflict near Earth. In the halls of the Galactic Council, many delegates watched the reports in shock. Human fleets were destroying one of the most powerful empires in the region. The same species they had laughed at only days earlier. The Dravian commander stared at the growing human fleet around him. And for the first time, he understood the terrible truth. The elders had not been exaggerating. They had been warning them. But it was already too late. Because humanity was no longer just defending Earth. Humanity had now fully entered the war. And the galaxy was about to witness what human fury truly looked like. The battlefield above the solar system had become a storm of fire and metal. Destroyed ships floated silently through space. Pieces of broken hulls and shattered weapons drifted between the fighting fleets. Bright flashes of explosions lit the darkness again and again. But the most terrifying sight for the Dravian fleet was not the destruction. It was the human advance. The new human dreadnoughts moved slowly but confidently across the battlefield. Their massive cannons fired again and again, each shot destroying another Dravian warship. The Dravian commander stood frozen on the bridge of his flagship. The battle reports appearing on his screen were becoming worse every minute. "Commander, we have lost 37 ships," an officer said nervously. Another officer spoke moments later. "Enemy reinforcements still arriving." The commander clenched his fists. "How many ships does Earth have?" he asked quietly. No one answered. Because no one knew. Across the battlefield, human fleets were moving in perfect coordination. Fighters surrounded damaged enemy ships while destroyers attacked their engines. Cruisers targeted their weapon systems. And behind them all, the human dreadnoughts delivered the final blows. It was no longer a battle. It was a hunt. Suddenly a new message appeared on the Dravian command screen. It was a direct transmission from Earth. The Dravian commander hesitated for a moment before opening it. A human admiral appeared on the screen. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. "This is Admiral Carter of the United Earth Defense Fleet," he said. "You have attacked our home." The Dravian commander tried to sound confident. "Your species cannot win this war," he replied. "Our empire controls hundreds of systems." The admiral simply stared at him for a moment. Then he answered. "We are not trying to win the war." The commander frowned. "Then what are you trying to do?" The admiral leaned slightly closer to the screen. "We are ending it." The transmission ended. Seconds later, a new alarm filled the Dravian flagship. "Commander. Massive energy readings detected." The main screen zoomed out across the solar system. At first the Dravian crew did not understand what they were seeing. Then the realization hit them. Entire sections of space were opening. Hidden gateways, massive human warp gates, were activating across the system. From each gate, new ships began to appear. Not dozens. Not hundreds. Thousands. Gigantic fleets poured out into the battlefield like a tidal wave of steel. The Dravian bridge fell silent. One officer whispered in disbelief. This is impossible." The new human ships were unlike anything seen before. Massive carrier vessels launched hundreds of fighters at once. Advanced cruisers carried experimental weapons that burned through Dravian shields instantly. And behind them all, a new class of ships slowly appeared. Even the dreadnoughts seemed small compared to them. The Dravian commander stared in horror. "What are those?" he asked. Human signals filled the battlefield. Titan-class warships entering combat. The Titan ships fired their weapons for the first time. Entire sections of the Dravian fleet disappeared in blinding flashes of light. The battle was over. The Dravian commander finally understood the truth. Earth had never been fighting at full strength. Humanity had been holding back. And now, Earth's fury had fully awakened. Silence slowly returned to the battlefield. Only hours earlier, space above the solar system had been filled with thousands of warships firing at each other. Now, the stars shined quietly again. Broken Dravian ships drifted through the void, their once powerful fleet now reduced to scattered wreckage. Human warships surrounded the few surviving enemy vessels. The Dravian flagship floated in the middle of the battlefield, its engines damaged and its weapons offline. It could no longer escape. Inside the bridge, the Dravian commander stood motionless, staring at the tactical screen. Every report showed the same result. Their fleet was gone. Entire divisions destroyed. Carriers lost. Battleships shattered by weapons they had never seen before. The human fleet now filled the entire region of space. Thousands of ships. Dreadnoughts. Titan-class warships. Carriers launching endless waves of fighters. The Dravian commander finally understood what had happened. They had not attacked a weak species. They had awakened something far more dangerous. A signal suddenly appeared on the command console. Another transmission from Earth. The commander slowly activated it. Admiral Carter appeared on the screen once again. His expression remained calm, but this time the entire human fleet could be seen behind him through the large observation window. "You have lost," the admiral said simply. The Dravian commander remained silent for several seconds. Finally, he spoke. "You could destroy us now," he admitted quietly. The admiral nodded. "Yes." The commander looked down for a moment. Then why haven't you? Admiral Carter's answer came without hesitation. Because humanity did not start this war. The Dravian officers on the bridge looked at each other in confusion. The admiral continued. You attacked our home. We defended it. That was necessary. He paused for a moment before speaking again. But destroying you completely, that is not necessary. The Dravian commander looked shocked. You are offering mercy. The admiral leaned back slightly. We are offering peace. The Dravian commander could barely believe what he was hearing. Their empire had invaded Earth with the intention of conquering it. Humanity had destroyed their fleet in a single battle. And yet the humans were not demanding revenge. They were offering an end to the war. Across the galaxy, long-range sensors had recorded the entire battle. News of the conflict spread quickly between star systems. Within hours, the Great Galactic Council received the full report. Delegates from hundreds of species gathered once again inside the enormous council chamber. But this time, no one laughed. Holographic images showed the destroyed Dravian fleet and the massive human armada surrounding them. Thousands of human warships filled the screen. The council members watched in stunned silence. The same species they had dismissed as weak had just defeated one of the strongest empires in the region. Slowly, the ancient elder stood once again. The chamber remained completely quiet as he began to speak. We warned you, he said calmly. No one argued this time. No one laughed. The elder looked around the massive chamber. Humans are not the most advanced species in the galaxy, he continued. They are not the oldest. They are not the strongest. He paused. But they possess something far more powerful. The delegates waited. They refuse to surrender when their survival is threatened. The holographic image of the human fleet continued to glow in the center of the chamber. The elder spoke one final time. Humanity is peaceful by choice. He looked slowly across the silent council. Never mistake that for weakness. Far away in the solar system, the surviving Dravian ships slowly powered down their weapons. The war was over. But the lesson had only just begun to spread. From that day forward, every civilization in the galaxy remembered the same warning. If you threaten Earth, humanity will answer. And when they do, the entire galaxy will feel it.